So, you want to get into watching the MCU. You don't know where to start watching the MCU. Well, this video's for you. I would say, before you continue on watching this video, if you've watched the entirety of the MCU, if you're not brain dead, this video's not for you. This is for idiots. People who want to start watching the MCU, but they don't know. Oh, where do I start? Do I watch Iron Man 1, 2, and 3 and then watch Thor 1, 2, and 3? No, you don't do that. This is going to be a video to help them people out. So if you've seen the MCU, you don't need to watch this video. If you know which order to watch the MCU in, that's fair enough. Now, I'll start with this. This video isn't timeline order. This is release order. I feel like this is the easiest way for people to watch it and understand it, because if you start telling them, watch this and then watch that after, people are going to get confused. So, this is release order, and this is on the Infinity Saga. This does not include Phase 4 and Phase 5. I don't want to start confusing people with TV shows and stuff like that. This is just movies from the Infinity Saga. This is the watch order to watch them in. So, take with that what you will. So, obviously, if you know, you know. Film 1, Iron Man 1. This was the start of it all. The start of the MCU. Everything that we are going to talk about now was birthed from this one film being a giant success. If you haven't seen Iron Man 1, well, go see it. But make sure, after you do see Iron Man 1, you watch this film. A film I wouldn't have included. If you've asked me maybe 2-3 years ago, I wouldn't have included The Incredible Hulk as MCU watch, because for people who do know, this film stars Edward Norton as the Hulk, and he doesn't continue to be our Hulk. In the later MCU, that role is taken by Mark Ruffalo. But they are going to be doing some things later down the line now that are, like, things from this film are going to come up in the future. Not in the Infinity Saga, but in the Multiverse Saga. But we're not talking about the Multiverse Saga, we're talking about the Infinity Saga. So, I would say Incredible Hulk is a must, but don't be confused, because Hulk does get recast when he shows up later. And coming in next, Iron Man 2. So, Iron Man 2 and Incredible Hulk, and the next two films I talk about, all take place within the matter of a week, and this is referred to as Fury's Big Week. So, Iron Man 2, not a strong film, I won't say, but I would say it's essential viewing, so you can get stuff, so you know what's going on. And the next one, Thor, the original Thor. I think this might actually be one of the most underrated MCU films going. Don't get me wrong, it's not in my top 10, but there's so many MCU films now. I'm pretty sure there's like 30 MCU projects in total, or 30 films in total. So, it's not in my top 10, but I do think this is a very, very underrated film. And this is what you want to watch after Iron Man 2. And after Iron Man 2, after Thor, Captain America the First Avenger. This is a film I've gone back and watched and got a lot more love for. Especially Captain America being my favourite MCU character. And you watch it, you go back and you watch it and you think, this film's pretty good. But I'm pretty sure if you ask people after this, who are you most excited to see in the Avengers coming up, I'm pretty sure no one would have told you Captain America at the time, because I don't think people thought he was that exciting of a character. But very end of this film leads right into the Avengers. This is where it all really started to take shape and come together, and it's like, if you haven't been watching this in order, or you haven't watched these films before, you're going to be very lost. Not very lost, like you could go in and watch it and have a fun time, but there's definitely stuff in there that pays off for seeing the other films before. So, you definitely need to watch all these other films before, and then you can watch the Avengers. Builds up to it, it's great, and it's like, oh yeah, boom, Avengers. So worth it at the end of it, once you've watched Iron Man, Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, and then boom, you get to watch Avengers. And this brings us to the end of Phase 1. So this was the entirety of Phase 1 done. So if you're sticking with me so far, that's Phase 1. You have completed an entire phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But that leads us to this beginning of Phase 2, which obviously was going to start with their biggest star at the time, Iron Man 3. This is the final Iron Man film, but this isn't obviously Robert Downey Jr.'s final appearance as Iron Man. This 2013 was a bit of a weird year for Marvel. For me, I feel like they had a very mediocre year. Like, people look back at the Infinity Saga with rose-tinted glasses and go, oh my god, it were perfect the whole way through. It goes from 2013 to being one of their worst years. So we got Iron Man 3, and then straight after Iron Man 3, Thor: The Dark World, which is a film I am not a big fan of, but I would say it is a necessary watch, because the interconnectivity of most of the films in the Infinity Saga is there, and there's a big thing in this film that is very important later down the line, so I would say you need to watch Thor: The Dark World. But then again, 2013, not Marvel's best year, and then we go on to one of Marvel's better years, with the greatest comic book film of all time. I'm sorry, I mean Captain America: The Winter Soldier in 2014. This film's amazing. I'm just going to say that right now. I fucking love this film so much. Just putting a smile on my face talking about it. So yeah, the second Captain America film, and I think this is where it really started turning people's heads, like, oh wow, no, Captain America's a fucking badass. I've told people to go back and watch this film, because I think they just watched it passively, just like, oh yeah, fuck it, I'll stick it on. I've told people to go back and watch this, and they've gone, oh no, that's, yeah, no, it's fucking badass, which it is, and my favourite comic book film of all time. But leads to another great film that year, Guardians of the Galaxy. Marvel really hit it out of the park with Guardians of the Galaxy. It was a big risk. This was the 10th film in the MCU, and everyone was like, oh, they shouldn't be doing this. This is going to be Marvel's first bomb. This film made money, and this film is fantastic. Now, it's going to look a little bit weird just sticking it here in order, but later down the line, it all starts to make sense. So, you want to watch Guardians of the Galaxy after Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And after that, we get our second Avengers film. I think if you ask most people, this would be their least favourite, like, Avengers film. I would agree with that, but for me, I still think it's a pretty good film, and I had a lot of fun watching this in the cinema at the time. You know, did a lot of the stuff from the first Avengers that people loved, and the scene where they're all just, I'm not going to spoil it, there's a scene in this where the people are just talking, and it's great. It's probably one of the best in the MCU. So from Guardians to Avengers: Age of Ultron, and then this brings us to the end of Phase 2, Ant-Man. Now you might be thinking, how come Phase 1 ended with this big Avengers film, and Phase 2 ends with Ant-Man? I don't work for Marvel, so I couldn't tell you, but it was a nice change of pace to going from, oh, this is the end of the world, to this is a heist. This film's a heist film. I love the original Ant-Man film. This might be in my top 10. It might not be, because there's so many films now, and it's hard to go through them. I know it was for a long time in my top 10 MCU films. So, yeah. This is the end of Phase 2. So that's it. We've made it through 2 phases now of Marvel. So, Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3. This is where stuff's going to start not getting complicated, but it's like, oh, there's a lot more projects in Phase 3. And Phase 3 starts with another fantastic film, Captain America: Civil War. I think I saw this film maybe 16 times in the cinema. No joke. Probably 16 times. This film came out at like the right time for me. I just, first got a job. I was starting to make my own money. And literally all my own money was being spent on going to the cinema to see Captain America: Civil War. So, I love this film. And a lot of people see this as Avengers 2.5 because it's got it has got all your Avengers characters in it, apart from Thor and Hulk. But they get to shine a little bit later down the line. So the beginning of Phase 3, Captain America: Civil War, and then after, and we get introduced to magic in the MCU with the original Doctor Strange film. So obviously we've had magic, element of magic before in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but not at this level. Like, the magic in Thor was explained as like, oh, it's just technology we don't understand. But then this was the beginning of true magic in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. So, great film, love it, and that brings us to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This is a film that, when I first saw it, I liked, but later down the line, I've really started to love this film, especially after Volume 3. This film is elevated so much more by just the presence of Volume 3. Now, obviously, we're not going to be talking about Volume 3 today because that is in the multiverse saga, but it's a good film. And this is another, I think 2017 was another great year for Marvel, because right after this, we had the MCU's first Spider-Man film. Now, obviously, Spider-Man was introduced in Captain America: Civil War, but this was his first film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Obviously, it had Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man in it, and, you know, not a right lot. I wouldn't say it was an Iron Man film. It was definitely a Spider-Man film, and it was just fun to see him in this universe that we've wanted to see him in for so long, like Spider-Man with Sony. Obviously, still with Sony, but this way, it's, you know, he can play now. He can play with the characters that we know and love. So, Spider-Man: Homecoming, another great film. And then we get Thor: Ragnarok after this. I think this is, without a doubt, easily the best Thor film. Obviously, Thor and Hulk teaming up in this from the end of Avengers: Age of Ultron. So, I remember seeing this and laughing so much in the cinema. So this is another film that's great. I love it to bits. So, but now we are getting towards the end of the Infinity Saga, because after this we got R.I.P. Chadwick Boseman, Black Panther. This film has got a soggy third act. I'd say a soggy third act fight. I like the third act, but I'm not a big fan of the fight in the third act. But this film also introduced us to, for 2 months, the best villain in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. For 2 months, Killmonger was the best villain in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But then, after that, along came this guy right here, Thanos, in Avengers: Infinity War. You want to be watching Infinity War after Black Panther. And this is where it's going to get confusing, because a lot of people, I mean, I do it to this day, because I've seen the films. I'll watch Infinity War and then go straight to watch Avengers: Endgame. No, we've got a couple of films between this and that, which you need to watch to get it. So, right after Infinity War, probably one of the greatest comic book films of all time, we slow down again. We slow down in pace. And we get Ant-Man and the Wasp, just Ant-Man and the Wasp, not Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, just Ant-Man and the Wasp. This film, I didn't really enjoy the first time I watched it. You know, if you ask Kyle, we got out of it and I was like, yeah. You know, I think a big part of it as well was like, we had to wait an extra month to watch this film. Because America got it a month early. We had to wait an extra month to watch it because the World Cup was on at the time, and they haven't done that now, Marvel, with films that are coming out in like the back end of the year. Because I think they've realised there's not actually much crossover for audience, for like people who care about football and people who like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I'm glad they haven't done that again, because that really fucked me off. But so yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Not Ant-Man, not Quantumania. Don't watch Quantumania. Don't watch Quantumania. Not yet. Anyway, just Ant-Man and the Wasp. And then right after Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel. This is a film that takes you back to the 90s. You're going to think when you're watching it, why have I got to watch this before Avengers Endgame? This is just a release order. I wouldn't say you have to. But if you want to get a better understanding of Captain Marvel as a character, definitely do watch Captain Marvel. Because it does flow quite nicely into Avengers Endgame, which is our next film. Avengers Endgame. What can I say about this film that hasn't been said before? This is perfect. This isn't the best comic book film of all time, but I think this is the most comic book film of all time. You get stuff like the end battle. Like the last hour of this film is perfection. There's all the little bits leading up to it. Like, this film isn't heavy on the action. It's a 3 hour long film, and it builds up and it builds up and it builds up, but we get all these character moments that we've been waiting to see, character interactions, all the stuff like that. So this is like the culmination of everything MCU up to that point. Now, you think it's the culmination of everything MCU, and it's like, oh, nice, so this is the end. This is the end of the Infinity Saga. In most people's eyes, yes, but in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the end of Phase 3 is actually Spider-Man Far From Home. I don't know why they chose to end it with this. This film could have easily slipped into the multiverse saga. But it is what it is. It's got a lot of, especially for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, facing the repercussions of what happened in the Endgame. So, it's quite personal to him at the end of it. But I wouldn't say this is necessarily something you need to tag on to the end of the Infinity Saga watch through, but it is part of the Infinity Saga, and it does play quite emotionally, and it is the end of Phase 3. But you could easily put this at the beginning of your Phase 4 watch, which we won't be getting into today, because that was our MCU watch list for dummies. So, I'll say it again. If you're an idiot and you found this helpful, I know I've just called you an idiot, but leave a like, subscribe. We're on 29 subscribers at the moment. Love to get to 30. That's all I want for Christmas is 30 subscribers. That would really make my day, make my year. If you thought this video was, condescending and spoke down to you, also like it, because I'd love to know, what you thought. Leave a comment. Give me some shit for not putting Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the TV show, in here, or the original Daredevil series. I'd love you all to give me some shit for that. And, yeah, hope you've enjoyed. Like, subscribe, share, leave a comment. Let us know what you think, because I care what you think.